Say, man, you see my crab cakes? Till I'm all alone. If you see my crab cakes, tell her things went wrong. Don't call on the phone and bring a black draw home. If you see my crab cake, tell I'm all alone. Tell her I still love her, and when she come back home.
It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening. Hope you're doing all right. Special shout out to my WMML listeners. Love these guys and gals that listen through WMML. Why? Because they're the closest to me. They're the closest to the studio, so give a shout out to all the WMML listeners. Busy show scheduled for today, but first, I got to remind you the show is being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you're looking for a limo, you're someplace in the U.S. of A., then you need to give my girl, that's right, she's mine, a call, 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. She loves to hear from you. Tell her Billy C sent you. Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service is the official limo service of this year's Billy C Boxing Hall of Fame Induction Weekend Get-Together, which is scheduled for November 16th, 17th, and 18th. Make your plans now. You can get the information about the tickets and what's going on with the event on our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame banners, and it'll take you to the latest news and updates about the event. And don't forget, you'll get to see her. That's Kat. That's right. Kat's a nationwide luxury transportation service. Give her a call, 202-351-7496. Tell her Billy C. sent you. But remember, she's my girl. The show is also being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for an attorney, and I don't care what your attorney needs are, whether it's a contract, maybe some real estate, maybe a matrimonial issue, or maybe even a criminal law issue, then you need to call the same lawyers that keep me out of trouble, and that's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C. sent you. Oh, yeah. Tell them that I'll pick up the consultation fee, too. You know, that's a great savings for you, and that's bad for them. 845-221-4099, Campanaro and Tomkovich. And, of course, the show's being brought to you in part by my friends, my good friends, over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Hey, especially if you're in the WMML listening area, if you haven't checked out this place, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's been completely renovated. The outdoor section of the facility is open, which is really cool. You got to go check it out. Can't miss it. It's right on Route 9, South Glens Falls. Give them a call ahead if you need to. The Halftime Bar and Grill, 518-792-4869. That's 792-4869. And don't forget, every Friday night, when there's Friday night fights, this week they got a ridiculous situation that they're putting their Friday night fights against the pay-per-view, which is, I just don't get that. But anyway, they're having their Friday night fights on Saturday, so we will not be up there. I am trying to see if they get the other card that will be televised, Fox Deporte. So if that happens, we will be up at the Halftime Bar and Grill giving away prizes and just gifts. And all you can do is talk boxing with us. Sit there and watch it, like several people did last week. And there's even a better reason to go, because if you're interested in the May 18th ESPN Real Friday Night Fight card, because it's on Friday Night Fight, with the main event being Ray Serrano against Kareem Mayfield at the Times Union Center in Albany, then you can get a chance to get some tickets by coming up to the Halftime Bar and Grill. And by the way, speaking of the Halftime Bar and Grill, if you're interested in that fight, go check it out. There's plenty of posters and some other information about that card at the halftime. Tell them Billy C. sent you. And while you're there, check out their food. They always got drink specials. There's always live bands there. But their food is really, really good. And if you're man enough or woman enough to try their hot sauce, order an order of wings and tell them you want the Billy C. hot sauce. Tell them you want the Billy C. hot sauce. And check that one out. Coming up a little later on the show, we're scheduled to have my man Alex Pierpaoli. And now Alex will be presenting our Blast from the Past this weekend, which is former world champion and Boxing Hall of Famer Tiger Flowers. We'll be chatting with him. We'll also get Alex's thoughts on one of his men. I know he loves Bernard, bite my tongue, Chad Dawson. And we'll see what he thought about the performance, and we'll also get his picks on the big fights scheduled for this weekend. And in case you're, in case you've been living under a rock, that guy, what's his name, Mayweather or something, yeah, he's going to be taking on Miguel Cotto, and we'll see how that works out. We'll get Alex's thoughts on that. Also scheduled to join us a little bit later is the infamous, and I do mean infamous, Joe Santoliquito, who leaves a trail of tears behind him every time he comes on. So we'll be looking forward to getting Joe's thoughts of Bernard Hopkins and the fact that he has said that he will not retire, much to my chagrin. And we'll get rolling with that. Shout out to my man Mac. He's in the chat room saying hey. He's from the Philippines, so spreading across the world. Before I really get going with the show, I want to send out our condolences and thoughts and prayers to Gary Shaw. His mom passed away yesterday, and I just want to express our condolences from all of us here on the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show, and of course the Billy C Boxing Network and everything else associated with the company. We are sorry for his loss. His mom did live, according to Gary, a very full life. She lived to 90 years old, so long time. So our condolences go out to Gary Shaw. I know there's times when he aggravates me, but I can't deny what his presence in the sport means. So, Gary Shaw, if you get a second, drop him an email. Tell him you're sorry to hear for his loss. Don't forget about our mailbags. Keep them coming. We got some that we're going to go to here in a sec. I keep getting these emails from new listeners that say, every so often you mention about the premium podcast. What's that? Here's the thing. The show, you can get our show every day. There's so many outlets you can get it now in all different ways. You can catch it live. You can listen to it on the radio, watch it on television, watch replays on LDL TV and Ustream and even BillyCBoxing.com. All these places, YouTube. But there's also, there is a weekly version of a podcast that gets distributed to everyone. But we have what we call a premium podcast. And what that is you pay for it. That's why it's called premium. But you only pay $15 a year. That's right. $15 a year for the premium podcast subscription. And what that entitles you into, what that entitles you to, yeah, that's what I meant to say, is basically all of our content, all of it. We're doing a post-fight show after the Cotto-Mayweather fight this weekend. You'd get that. You get every single show we do. You get all of the special things, special broadcasts that we do. You get access to them all the time. You never lose access to them. And the best part is you get to listen to the show whenever you want. Maybe on your way to work, maybe when you're working out, maybe if you're taking the kid to their after-school activity, and you're sitting there supporting your kid, but really you want to listen to our show. I mean, the bottom line is it's a convenience, and that's what you're paying for. It's $15. You get a year's worth. Minimum of 10 hours a week of content. You can't beat it. Let's put it in perspective. You can't go to a bar and buy 2 beers and tip the bartender for $15. So put that in perspective. It's convenience. If you're interested in becoming a premium podcast subscriber, the easiest way is to go to the show's site, which is Talkin' Boxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and right on the front page, there's a thing, become a premium podcast subscriber. You click it, and that's all you got to do. You could also get to it on our main page of BillyCBoxing.com as well. So anyway, hey, keep the mailbags coming. Keep the don't forget about the mobile application. We got that all set. If you have the Droid, all you got to do is under the marketplace search Billy C Boxing under sports. You'll get that. Don't forget about our forums, the chat room, and of course setting BillyCBoxing.com as your homepage. And one important thing, you got to take advantage of the Billy C Bucks. And Billy C Bucks are real easy to get. If you're buying tickets to an event, and I don't care where it is, anywhere on the planet, you get Billy C Bucks. So if you have any interest in finding out how you can start to accumulate Billy C Bucks, which never expire, and they can be used for anything we sell. Anything we sell, T-shirts or even tickets to our Billy C Boxing Hall of Fame in November. So start accumulating Billy C Bucks right now. Speaking of now, I got to take a break. When I come back, we got some mailbags to read, all coming up in about 2.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, All the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C. dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C., a radio show. Check out the website, www.billycboxing.com. And if you're looking to get yourself some tickets to that May 18th ESPN show, which is at the Albany Times Union, click the fight poster, which is right on the front page of the website. And speaking of posters, the top one that says AT&T and Fight Now, you know, that's a favor we put up. We're asking you guys to do us a favor. We want to get added to the AT&T Uverse network, which is in 22 states. It's available in 22 states, 131 markets across the country. And what they're looking for to put us on their schedule, put us as part of their listing, is to hear from you. So you guys, especially everyone that has the AT&T Uverse service, take a minute and fill out that thing. Tell them that you want Fight Now right now, and it will take you literally 30 seconds to fill it out. There's like 5 questions, man, and they're all easy ones too. Like, what's your name? No, I don't even think it's that. I don't even think they're that hard. Where you know, because if it was me and if I have to pronounce the name before I spell it, I mean, jeez. But anyway, before I read a couple, we only got a couple of mailbags to read today. Emails, actually. One is real easy. But I want to point something out that, although the show is all about boxing, this show, I mean, it's all about boxing. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, all about boxing. We've been doing it for over 8 years. 8 years now. We've spread a little further out of the boxing market, which no other show has done in the boxing business anyway. And, the first indication was all the emails that we get about our new official song of the show, which is Crab Cakes. It's we play it before the intro, and I can't tell you, I've lost track of all the emails, and I'm starting to send them to him, to the artist, which is Memphis Gold. You can check out the website, www.memphisgold, and I got a really nice email from them yesterday, Memphis Gold, telling us, thanking us for all of the promotion that we've done for their music and everything else, and all of the response that they're getting apparently from you guys. So I want to thank you for taking the time to drop them an email. And all I said was, keep up the good work, man. It's not me. It's your music. They do a good job. And then last week, or was it the week before? I forget. We had Snooki on, the reality TV star, and I've gotten a lot of play on that one. On the podcast end, on the audio end, there is a video version up on YouTube, but basically there's no pictures of pretty Snooki just me, just my mug. So maybe that's why people are choosing to just listen instead. Yesterday we mentioned a video clip that is circulating around the internet. It's called Heckler and Comedian Fight or something like that. Anyway, Opie and Anthony, which is, I got to be honest, I've never listened to their show, but apparently it's a pretty big, comedy radio show. I don't know, like a Howard Stern type show. And, apparently they got a lot of response from us as well. As a matter of fact, it prompted them to tweet to over 60,000 tweet followers, if that's what you call it, on their end, that we talked about that clip on the show yesterday. So I just wanted to thank all the people outside the sport of boxing that's helping our show grow the way it is. First and foremost, the first email I have is from Victor J. He says, "This is an awesome show, man. Keep it up." So hey, thanks. I love the easy ones like that. I love the real easy ones like that. So we'll see what happens there. Another thing, we got an email from T. Bruce. T. Bruce says, "I have always hated Bernard Hopkins. I hate how he compares himself to Floyd. Floyd is a magical, smooth, defensive fighter, and B-Hop is a boring, ugly, crafty fighter." That's a pretty good way of describing it. I can't really deny. I don't know. Can I come up with anything different than that? I mean, Floyd is a magical, smooth, defensive fighter, and I like the way T. Bruce has made that point, because I don't really look at him as such a great offensive fighter, but he is smooth defensively. There's no question about it, and his game has improved offensively. At least his last few fights. As far as Bernard Hopkins is referred by this emailer as B-Flop, I call him B-Plop, because that's about as much as I care about him. He is definitely boring. He's definitely ugly. He's definitely a crafty fighter. And you got to throw in there, like we've been saying, the longevity of Bernard Hopkins is freakish. We got to give him credit for that. And we got to give him defensive credit, because, let's face it, his defensive ability is pretty good. He rolls just enough to have you miss his punches and all that happy stuff. So, I give him credit there. But offensively, nothing. I hope I never see him again, but unfortunately he's told us he is. T. Bruce goes on to say, one is very, very entertaining and smooth. He's referring to Mayweather. And the other is ugly in that ring. But I was impressed by how competitive Hopkins was. Yeah, he only won 3 rounds, and I got so pissed the way he headbutted Chad with a potentially career-threatening headbutt. But aside from that, he earned my respect by making it so difficult for Chad to land his superstar flashy combinations. B-Flop is a Class A layman in the ring, but his best credit for making it what it is. And remember, this is coming from a guy who hates his ass, he says. I appreciate the email. His craftiness, and we've been saying this for the last couple of days. There's no question about it that he's a crafty fighter inside the ring, and he makes his opponents look bad. That's why I'm wondering why he's even bothering continuing his career, because who would want to chance it? I mean, he's not really. I guess I was going to say he's not a money fight, but I guess he is. I guess you can make money by fighting him, but the risk of sustaining a headbutt that may come back and haunt you for the rest of your career, or just looking ugly and losing some value against this guy, and he's always dangerous. I mean, and just I don't know. For me, if I'm working with a young fighter, I don't want any part of Bernard Hopkins. Not because I'm scared of him. But because of all the other tangibles that come into play, that you could lose more than money by fighting this guy. We were talking about yesterday an article that was forwarded to me that someone wrote that says that Bernard Hopkins is better pound for pound than Floyd Mayweather, which is totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Yesterday, I was surprised that we didn't get any response. None. out of all the listeners and viewers and everything else, I didn't get any response about the Louis Resto situation that's going on with the New York State Athletic Commission. And, he applied for a seconds license. Now, in case you don't know what that is, that's basically a guy that hangs out in the corner, giving them water. It could have been the chief second. The seconds license is just anyone other than the fighter in the corner. And you have to have a license for this. And he's applied for the license by New York State, and they've denied him. And their reason is for the integrity of the sport, and because of course, of the history with the Collins situation and Panama Al Lewis. My question was, has time passed enough? Should this guy be allowed to earn a living as a second? He not only was found, not only was caught, being involved with the tampering of the gloves. In case you don't know, his trainer at that time was Panama Al Lewis, and he removed the which was horsehair at that time in the gloves. They removed it, and he threw a beating on Billy Collins Jr. And basically led to Collins' death. And both the trainer and Louis Resto were found guilty. They went through a criminal trial. They were found guilty and did time in jail, which was a long time ago. And my point is do we give these guys another chance? In life, we always seem to be able to get a second chance no matter what we do. Why is boxing once again being above and beyond? Now, with that said, I for one believe that that's the worst thing you can do in the sport of boxing. The worst thing you can do in the sport of boxing is pad your gloves. And that's what was such a serious situation with Antonio Margarito. But here we have a guy who was caught pretty much red-handed, cement-handed, I should say, and he got banned for a year. In this particular case, Billy Collins Jr. Louis Resto didn't take the horsehair out. His trainer did. They both served time. Although I think it's the worst offense you can do in the sport of boxing, for some reason I kind of think that they should give this guy at least a seconds license. He never really could do anything else other than boxing. That was his career. It kind of affected him again. Himself. 1986 is when he was convicted. So if you have any thoughts on that, drop me an email. I'd love to hear it. Hey, one other thing before I take a break. Don't forget, Fight Now has got extended coverage. It started yesterday on the Cotto-Mayweather fight, and it's going to continue today with the final press conferences, and then they got some more stuff going on Thursday, and of course Friday with the weigh-ins, and then the preliminary bouts on Saturday. So for the full schedule, check out their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of Floyd Mayweather, I got some comments about him, but we also have some results that took place. We had a fight that took place in Russia yesterday, and as a matter of fact, it was going on. The undercard was going on during our show. No. I'm wrong. It was 8 hours. That's right. We figured that it didn't start till later on in the day. I'm wrong there. I was confusing that with the Japan shows that didn't take place yesterday either. But the point is I got the results of the fights from Russia all coming up in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would
think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy
What?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPS radio. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. That's right. I want to welcome the Fight Now audience just joining us. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider, whether it's cable or satellite dish. You got to call them right now and tell them that you want to add Fight Now to your lineup. And I tell you, they all know about the channel. So now's your chance. You got to call them, and you got to be like me. I call because we have cable, and our cable company doesn't have it. I call them once a week, and I'm telling them, you best get that fight. I can't stand that Dax Khan is the guy that gets to watch it on his TV, and I gotta watch it on other feeds. So Fight Now, it's available. Call your local TV provider. And for all the information about the channel, guess what? You can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. Yesterday, we had a world middleweight title fight, and took place in Russia. WBO middleweight champion Dmitry Priag improved to 20-0 with 15 knockouts when he won a 12-round decision over Nobuhiro Ishida, who dropped to 24 wins, 8 losses, and a couple of draws with 9 knockouts. It was a Tuesday night fight in Moscow, Russia. The way the judges saw it was 119-109, 117-111, and 120-108. You know, I give a lot of credit to Ishida. You know, this was a guy that, you know, you may not realize this, but he was like an interim belt holder or whatever, and he was robbed of his fight against Rigoberto Alvarez, I believe. Lost his belt. Then he got put in that fight that we all know him from, and that's at least us here in the States. And that was his devastating knockout win over James Kirkland, who James is still crying that the fight shouldn't have been stopped when we all watched him doing let's face it, he was doing the Billy C after half a bottle of scotch dance around the ring for a couple of times. And from that point on, this guy's fought some tough guys in their home areas, on their home turf, so to speak, and has gone the distance. I give Ishida a lot of credit, and I give him credit for going into Russia and going the distance with Priag. Priag's a tough guy. You know, I mean, I know he's only got 20 professional fights under his belt, but hey, he's a middleweight that I'm not seeing a guy like Paul Williams trying to call out or anything like that. So I give Ishida credit. So Dimitri Priag, successful defense, undefeated at 20-0. Now there was some other fighters on that card, and the way the undercard results were like this. They had a heavyweight. I'm not going to even try. I'm not even going to take a shot at pronouncing his first name. So again, I'm just going to call it V. You know, every time I see one of these names from the Ukraine or Russia, whatever, Poland, you know, it's like they use every letter of the alphabet, including X, Y, and Z in their first names. You know, and I say to myself, man, you know, that's a very, very nasty joke that mom and dad put on their poor kid. But anyway, heavyweight V. Glasgow improved to 12-0 with 9 knockouts when he stopped Jabenga Oklakun with a 7th round knockout, 1 minute and 32 seconds of the 7th round. And guess what? It didn't land on the jaw or nothing like that. Nope, landed on the body and devastated Oklakun, who drops to 19 wins, 8 losses, and 12 of his wins coming by knockout. So undefeated heavyweight out of Russia. Dmitry Kudyasov knocked out Alexei Varasun in the first round of their cruiserweight fight. Dmitry, what was everybody's name was Dmitry on this card. Every fighter, you know. Hey, listen. You want to be on our card? Yeah, we got one prerequisite. I don't care what weight class you are. I don't care how good you are, but your first name, it's got to be Dmitry. And this was the case. Dmitry Kadykin won a 4-round decision over Ford Murduov in the light heavyweight division. And the only guy without the first name, Dmitry, Maxim Chemezov, won a 4-round decision over Sergey Akimov in the super middleweight division. So some fights that took place in Russia on Tuesday. Oh, Magoo, you're at it again. No, not Mr. Magoo from the cartoon. No, I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather. You know, Floyd Mayweather, all right, I haven't been talking about him, you know, and the only time I've been talking about him is when you guys bring it up in the mailbags. But, you know, here he is. You know, he arrives at, the gala entrance. You know, I mean, it's sickening what they're doing, but, you know, hey, more power to him. And, you know, the reporters in the media, you know, they're at fault for this stuff. But, you know, once again, you got the way they're positioning these guys for this promotional thing is they got them in these like king chairs, you know, and I don't mean Don King, I mean like king, you know, like a king chair, like a chair King would be sitting in, and Floyd sitting there, you know, and you know, what is it? I mean, I'm old, man. I'm 50 years old. You know, is it a style thing to have the stupid baseball cap with with the glasses? I mean, you know. Do you guys think that he looks cool? I honestly, I want to know. You know, anybody in the chat room? I know Murphy's as old as me, so he's not going to say. But do you think he looks cool? Mac's a young guy, right? You know, you think he looks cool? You know, is that what looks cool these days? I mean, you know, I know what looked cool when I was younger and everything else, but is that cool or is that just a punk? You know, because to me, he just looks like a punk. And he acts like a punk. But you know what? I'm gonna stick up for him for a minute here. I'm not gonna say that what he said was right. But why is the media constantly asking this guy about Manny Pacquiao? Why can't we just, you know, and I'm putting on my Floyd hat here for a second. You know, why can't we ask him about the guy he's going to step in the ring against on Saturday? And that's Miguel Cotto. Why can't we ask him about other stuff, but leave the name Manny Pacquiao out of it? Why does every single time that Floyd Mayweather is put on a podium or a microphone is put in front of his face or a writer's got, you know, a pad and pencil there, whatever the case is, why is every question about Manny Pacquiao? No, you don't have to tell me why. I mean, I know it's the fight we all want to see and everything else. But when you do that, Floyd thinks he's so smart. Everybody thinks that Floyd is an intelligent guy. And for the most part, maybe he is smart enough to surround himself with people that make good decisions for him business-wise. And obviously, he's got money to burn because he does burn money, but literally. But I don't know how smart he is. I don't know how smart he is, really. Floyd himself, because he says the stupidest things. Like, again, he went on a tirade yesterday afternoon, about him and Manny Pacquiao again making accusations and making it like it's a layup, like everyone knows that Manny Pacquiao is on performance-enhancing drugs. Nobody can go from 106 pounds up to 154, blah, blah, blah. First of all, Manny didn't go to 154. I think the most he ever weighed was, 148? Did he ever touch 150? I mean, come on. That's number one. Nobody mentions that Floyd started out, I believe, at 126, right? Or maybe 130. So he's gone up 25 pounds himself, but nobody says anything about that. But, he starts turning this into a health thing. That, by him fighting Manny Pacquiao would risk his health, his health. And he says, and some of the ridiculous things he says is, I want to find the, thing. He starts bashing Bob Arum. See, that's what this is about. Make no mistake. The reason why Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather hasn't been made yet is because it's the fault of Floyd Mayweather and Bob Arum and the fact that they don't like each other. And Floyd is still mad because he didn't get the deal he wanted from Bob Arum. That's why he left. And actually, I thought that Floyd made the best business decision he could have made when he left Bob Arum. There's no question about that. But when they asked him yesterday about, of course, Pacquiao and everything else, he says, it took me years to get here, meaning where he is now, going up in weight and everything. He says, I'm not walking through no damn fighters. Pacquiao all of a sudden can knock out Cotto. He can knock out Shane. How can this be when I can't even knock him out? He's saying, the funniest part about him is he said something along the lines of, do any of these guys, meaning Don King, because he threw Don King under the bus too, do any of these guys know what it's like to be a fighter? No. He says all they care about is effing money. Well, come on. This guy changed his nickname to Money. So I mean, what's he talking about? But the best part of his little speech that to me was a joke. He says, I know what it's like to have a broken rib for the rest of your life. Really? Did he ever sustain a broken rib? Not that I know of. It must have been secret. And to have a broken rib for the rest of your life. Yesterday I gave the game plan about how I feel that Miguel Cotto could beat Floyd Mayweather. And one of the things I said was to issue an all-out body attack on this guy. I mean, why not do that? And now, hey, since Floyd knows what it's like to go through life with a broken rib, maybe he's got one. I don't know. But the whole joke of this whole situation, really, was the fact that, after his big speech and everything, the whole area was just silent because they're all just so sick of listening to Floyd. Even the guys that like him were quiet. Except there was one group of people that gave him a standing ovation, and that was all his yes men. That was all his cronies. Those were all his cronies that clap and laugh at all his jokes and do all this stuff. It's just it's a joke, man. And to me, I hope that people remember this because this has to be added to what is Floyd Mayweather. And for everybody that pays the money to see this guy, including myself, you're paying it for one of two reasons. You want to see him win, or you want to see him lose. And personally, I know he's one of the best fighters out there today, if not the best. But and I'm leaning towards him to win the fight against Miguel Cotto, but I certainly will be rooting for Miguel Cotto. There's no question about that. And one other thing I wanted to mention, we're waiting for Alex Pierpaoli to give us a shout. He's going to call us in a little bit here to chat about some stuff before we do our blast from the past. But another Magoo is at it again, and that's the WBC, or maybe I should say the Jose Sulaiman, the troll, the troll that is very bad for boxing, in my opinion. This is a guy that was bottom line, he's a guy that lives in a glass house and throws stones. That's what it is. And I'll get to that in a second because I got an important fish on the line right now, and that's my man Alex Pierpaoli. What's up, brother?
Morning, Billy C. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Wolfman Jack.
What's that?
This is Wolfman Jack.
Yeah. First, there's so many things. There's so many things and so little time to talk to you about.
I heard you dancing around. I was trying to do some math. I was trying to see how much weight Manny Pacquiao has gained and for how long. And it's between 1995 to 2000. His heaviest, you're right, he was never heavier than 146.
Right.
But he started at 106
right.
in 1995. So from 95 to 2010, he gained 40 pounds.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. Is that startling?
I gained 40 pounds myself in that time. Come on, man. Yeah, it is startling. But with today's nutrition and performance-enhancing drugs, you could do a lot of things. No, but I just can't stand the fact that Floyd is always accusing him, as a matter of factly, is the way he does it, like everyone knows. And there's been no cases, or even you can assume all you want, but until there's some kind of proof, you got to stop that stuff.
Yeah, and I really thought that he was in trouble about this. I mean, did the lawsuit get thrown out, or is it still pending? I mean, it's kind of loose talk if it's still pending, because he really talks about it in like as if it's fact. And you're right, without evidence, that's libelous to talk about someone like that.
Yeah, and the lawsuit is still going on. And, a lot of people thought that it would be dropped as soon as the fight got made. But I'm leaning towards, I don't think this fight is ever going to be made.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to it, and the way he talks about it, it's very peculiar, because if you listen to what he says, he goes back and forth. Because just a few weeks ago, the reason the fight was not going to be made was because of the 50-50 split. Pacquiao wouldn't agree to that. He claims they talked to each other on the phone, and that was the reason. Now we're back to the PEDs.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't believe any of them, and you know what? We got other things to talk about. I know we're going to talk about Floyd, but not Manny.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we're falling into the same trap. He's got to get by Cotto first.
Yeah, and that's hold that thought. But before we get to that, I got to ask you your thought. Your boy, man, your Connecticut boy, and our boy John Scully got past Bernard Hopkins. Yes, they won. Yes, they dominated. Honestly, Alex, I was looking for a little more defining performance by Chad Dawson. And to tell you the truth, I thought he could have done it, and so did John Scully. I mean, he's telling him in between each round, convincing him that he wasn't going to run out of gas. And at times, when he let his hands go, like Scully told him, he looked really, really good. And then other times, he looked a little overly cautious. What's your thoughts on that fight, the outcome, and where each of those guys go from here?
Yeah, I had a lot of family gatherings here. My brother was here from Chicago with the baby for the first time, so I finally got to watch. I saw clips of the fight late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, and then finally got to see it all last night. And yeah, I got to say, John Scully did a terrific job. He had some really great sound bites there in the corner. There was a few good sound bite moments there from corners. The corner of Chaz Witherspoon in his losing effort sounded really good, too. Max Kellerman actually made note of it. But, Chad, I think, definitely should have stepped it up. and Scully was advising him to. And when Chad did, he won easier. And Scully was right in pointing out that that's what Calzaghe did. Calzaghe is one of the ones who looked the most dominant against Bernard over the last few years in this second career that Hopkins kind of made of himself and has clearly gone on too long. It was an ugly, boring fight, and I think credit goes to Chad for keeping his cool, because the amount of dirty crap that Bernard tried to get away with and did get away with was pretty amazing. And the amount of headbutts he purposefully was putting his head in there, he cut them all up. It was a rough, ugly fight, but it was kind of something we had to get it over with. And I was glad Chad kept his cool and never did flip out about anything, because he got fouled a lot. And if he had retaliated, he would have risked a DQ or something something not so satisfying like last time.
I just want to know who throws a better 1-2 headbutt combination than Bernard Hopkins. I mean,
it's amazing how many times he put his head in there. Even when they were clinched, he would rub his head roughly across. It's purposeful. I mean, come on, Bernard. It's sad, because it used to be, if people want to see the prime Bernard Hopkins, I really think that his best days were really that winning that middleweight tournament, the Keith Holmes win, and then the Tito win, and then maybe he looked really good in those fights, and then maybe the De La Hoya, he certainly had his Hall of Fame moments, but it's over. If that's what he's reduced to, it's really a shame.
And like I said, and I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over, but I did go back and look at those fights. I can't stand them so much that I'm saying to and I admit that he's a Hall of Famer, but I now believe, after this past weekend, I went back and reviewed several of his fights during his heyday as a middleweight, and I'm convinced that he's getting into the Hall of Fame, and he's being labeled a Hall of Fame fighter for two reasons. Number one, he is slick. He is a slick fighter. We saw it even at 47, 48 years old against Chad Dawson. He was able to, slip and move and not get punches landed flush, which I give him all the credit in the world for defensively. And the other reason is longevity. There was never any offense. There was never any excitement. And to me, when we look at Hall of Fame, in my opinion, I want to see the best athletes from whatever, field of play that they're on. That's what I think of a Hall of Fame should be. We should have the best people, the best fighters in the Boxing Hall of Fame, the best football players in the Football Hall of Fame, and so on and so forth. Not just because they reached 500 home runs or 300 hits or 3,000 hits, I should say, in baseball, or they make a world title, or they make 10 successful defense. When are we going to start putting quality guys in there?
Well, I mean, I guess you have to always. We have a subjective sport, so you always have to define what you mean by quality. If you mean entertaining, Bernard Hopkins doesn't belong there with an Arturo Gatti. But Arturo Gatti doesn't have the accomplishments that a Bernard Hopkins has. That's one of the debates that will always rage about Halls of Fame.
Right.
But I think, Hopkins had great moments. There was other fights. You could go through a list of, guys we do in the blast. Some of them weren't that thrilling all the time.
No, they weren't. It's a tough one, and it's a tough thing to put on. But his time has gone.
About it, I mean, they ticked off some of the wins, and you've said it yourself that if he had retired after the Pavlik win, he would have walked away. We all would have walked away with this, almost like he leaves you wanting more. Like, wow, that was really good, but
exactly.
He was wise enough to think that that was enough. He didn't want to ruin anything, and he could have done that. But then wasn't the Tarver fight after that?
Yeah, but what I was going to say is he had two chances. He could have done it twice. And after the Pavlik fight, we would have had him on a pedestal. Nobody would have remembered any of the negativity. You know what I mean? And instead he pushed it. Lennox Lewis I never liked him as a fighter, really, honestly. I never did. But the more he's been away, the more I've learned to appreciate him. And I think one of the biggest things I like about him was the fact that he knew when to say when, walked away on top. And you know what? He'll always be remembered as walking away on top. Hey, before we get wrapped up with that, we got a big fight this weekend. Miguel Cotto against Floyd Mayweather. I think the masses, at least the non-Mayweather lovers, but I think the masses all are really hoping that Miguel Cotto wins. But my question to you is, Kenny.
No. I think, I'm sorry, but I think just like as dominant
wait, can you rephrase that? Was, can you rephrase that?
I only gave Bernard Hopkins 3 rounds, and Bernard knows how to make the fight look ugly. And stay in there and even make some of the rounds close. He can lull a guy into being inactive. And I think Cotto is the opposite. Cotto is the one who's going to be pressing the fight, and Mayweather's the one that's going to lull Cotto into a slow pace, like he always does to a guy. I figure Floyd is going to cruise to a unanimous decision. I'd be surprised if Cotto wins 3 rounds.
Well, I have a game plan. I
hope he fights aggressively. If he fights like he fought against Ortiz, it could be fun.
Well, you mean if Mayweather fights like he did against Ortiz?
Yeah.
That's fighting into Cotto's, I think, into his strength. So I don't think
definitely. But I think that, like we talked about a little bit with Jermaine Taylor. Cotto's been like one of those eggs that's been cracked a couple times, and I think that if Mayweather can clock him really good early, he could be in the hunt in a firefight. But I think otherwise that's very uncharacteristic of Floyd. So I'd be very surprised if we saw that. But I'd love it because he came out aggressively against Ortiz. I think in part because he knows this kid's. I've forgotten more than this kid knows about boxing. With Cotto, that's not quite true.
Well, I give Floyd credit for fighting both of them. I am still appalled at the way the Ortiz fight ended. However, I'm not so sure it wouldn't have ended the same way, but in a more classy way if the fight went on a couple of more rounds. I think Floyd would have won the fight.
I think he was definitely on the way to stopping him.
Yeah. That's what we assume. I mean, a lot of people had that fight even at the time of the stoppage. But as far as Cotto's concerned, Cotto is a decent boxer. He does have some pop. He certainly has a lot of heart. He's got a solid chin. It is a tough defense, so to speak. I guess it's actually Cotto's defense, but it's a tough fight for Floyd. It's not a layup fight. It's not what we're accustomed.
I think it is. I think it's a layup. I think I don't know. I think a younger the Cotto that fought Zab Judah, the Cotto that was coming out of right off the Mosley win, that was a much more dangerous Cotto.
How can you say that he's not going to give him a fight when if you look at the boxers, now Floyd, we all admit Floyd's a boxer. If you look at the boxers that Miguel Cotto has faced in the past, he's done very well against pure boxers. I mean,
but nobody as fast and as skilled as Floyd, and as hard to hit as Floyd, and with the ability to stand right in front of you. Cotto's not exceptionally fast. He cuts the ring in pieces and walks you down, especially the younger, grinding, body-punching Cotto. He's not that guy anymore after the losses to Margarito and Pacquiao. He's a little more cautious. And at 154, he's definitely not fast enough. I don't know. I believe me, Bill. I mean, I'd like to see Mayweather get smacked around, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think he's going to get smacked around, but I think that providing I'm under the impression Tony Weeks is going to be the referee, so providing Weeks actually lets them fight inside, and I was noticing some referees over this past weekend, and some of the guys that permit infighting, and aside from Steve Smoger, and Eddie Cotton too. I mean, he lets the guys fight inside. But Vic Draculage, as much knocks as he's gotten in the past, he lets the guys fight inside too.
So that's who it's going to be?
No, it's going to be Tony Weeks.
Oh, okay.
And Tony Weeks I think he's a fair ref. I think he's a good all-around ref. But, you know, I also think that referees and judges and you know, they give Mayweather the edge all the time.
Oh,
You know,
he definitely has that personality. But they know they're in there with, you know, it's a big stage.
I think that Cotto has the tools to rough up Mayweather. And I think that Mayweather, I agree with you about his counterpunching, his boxing ability, his speed, the whole package. I mean, listen, you know, it's hard to find flaws in...
the only person that could rival Floyd in speed that Cotto's faced is Manny Pacquiao, and look what happened.
All right, but totally different fighters. And I'll
tell
you why.
I'll
tell you why. No, I'll tell you.
Whereas Pacquiao's the kind of guy that overwhelms you, and he likes the entertainment value, so he's going to whack you out.
Yeah, but the problem is Pacquiao throws punches, and this is why he will beat Floyd Mayweather when they fight, is because he throws punches from these crazy angles that you can't assume where they're coming from. And his speed, of course. Now, Floyd, he's got similar hand speed, if not the same or better than Manny. But when he delivers his punches, they're more orthodox. They're more coming in the way a punch should come in. And you know, even though I'm saying that, do I think that Cotto's going to avoid him? Not many. But I do think that Cotto has a chance, a better chance than you're giving him to beat Mayweather. But the only way he can is if he can establish some kind of a body attack early on in the fight. And I found it interesting with Floyd's little thing yesterday, saying that he knows what it's like to live his whole life with a broken rib. Since when did anyone ever hit him? Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe you might have.
I tell you, if that's true, if I'm Cotto, I go right for those ribs.
Well, I would.
I'll be like Fred Flintstone, going after the the burgers that they drop on the car.
I love that. I love that.
Drive-in.
Yeah, that's like I'll have the Brontosaurus ribs, please.
The Brontosaurus burger.
But anyway, Alex, hold that thought. We got to take a break, and I can sense that this conversation is going to be drifting. No. This is going to get going a little more than maybe Tiger Flowers, but we'll be talking as soon as we come back in about 2.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Box with Billy C. radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel, and it's time to call your local television provider and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. Pick up the phone and call them right now. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of now, joining me is my man Alex Pierpaoli. We're in kind of a discussion about Floyd Mayweather and Miguel Cotto. And, like you, Murphy thinks that this isn't even going to be a close fight, that Mayweather's going to dominate Cotto very easily. I'm hoping, and I guess maybe it's more hope and than anything else, but I'm hoping that Cotto is going to put on a good performance. My question is can Floyd knock out Cotto?
I think he could. It's possible because we know that speed is sometimes power, and especially guys been knocked out before. Cotto, you can cut him. He's not the hardest guy in the world. He has bled in some fights, and I think that Floyd's definitely quick enough to open up some cuts and then just keep peppering him. I think more likely it's going to be a unanimous decision. Because remember, Floyd is cautious, and that's sort of what he's saying also, and that's what he revealed in that Bob Costas interview. I was really disappointed with the Michael Eric Dyson interview on HBO, because Dyson it almost seemed like he was starstruck talking to him, whereas Costas did get into some stuff where Floyd seemed to really, and I have wondered this in 24/7, he has relatives around him who he sees the visible effects of the long-term exposure to head punches. He's
what about drugs? What about the drugs? Maybe that had something to do with some of the effects of the people around him. Drugs?
Yeah, well, it's possible, but I think that he worries not only about losing, but he said it more often now. He worries about being knocked out, being beaten and being hurt, badly hurt, concussed.
That's why, and you just hit on a point that is my biggest thing about Mayweather. And that's why he's handpicked easy opponents, so to speak. And I'm not saying Cotto's easy, and I certainly don't think Victor Ortiz was easy. But, to me, that's why he's handpicked his opponents, because I don't agree with all of the Mayweather fans that say he's got heart and he's got this. I don't think so. I think he's got will, and I also think that he's got pride. And George said he's got more. My man George says he's got more pride than heart, and I believe that statement. I truly believe that Floyd has a lot of pride, but pride isn't heart, Alex. And I'm saying it's a big if, because we haven't seen it yet. If someone catches up to him, and like Cotto, who can work the body with both hands, if he was able to bust up Floyd a little bit in the body and then land a couple of shots, rough him up. I hate to use the term, but Bernard Hopkins him, right? And get a cut on Floyd or hurt him, drop him or something like that. I don't think Floyd has the heart. I think he starts worrying about all those things that you're saying, and because he doesn't listen to anyone, he won't listen in the corner. He'll try to get his pride involved, and he'll lose his composure, which has made him what he is today.
Well, I think we saw that in the last fight. We saw one answer to that, of what happens when Floyd gets rattled. And when a guy does take it into the street, he goes further. Because when you have the chance and the luck and the bizarre qualities of boxing, you also have a Joe Cortez who's half paying attention, who doesn't make a legitimate ruling. Maybe if other refs had seen that, there would have been a DQ. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe a DQ even before it got to the legal sucker punch. So, but I think we did get the answer that if Floyd gets hurt and Floyd gets cut and adversity arises, he does rise to the occasion. I do believe that he has heart, but the thing that he doesn't test himself. He's unwilling to challenge himself the way previous generations of fighters, and the guy we're going to talk about in the blast, that's what these guys want to do. Even Bernard Hopkins won't go away. He wants to keep doing it. Floyd doesn't. He wants to reduce the amount of risk and maximize the reward at all costs. And that's a different kind of fighter than I think has existed in the past. And it does seem, unless you love him, it sounds incredibly narcissistic for him to be like that, unwilling to take those risks and challenge himself against the very best, and then insist that he is the best. That's why people think of him as so villainous, is that, they want to see somebody like that get smacked around. He likes playing the heel, and that's what he does so well.
No, you're right, and all your choice of adjectives are beautiful. I love them. That's why you're here, man.
That's the thing about it, Bill. Why I liked the Victor Ortiz, as distasteful as it was. Our sport does have a history of guys, and this was something the late Burt Sugar said. Boxing is legalized assault. And that's why, to me, he's the greatest boxer in the world, because he got ugly when it mattered. And he lied. He suckered him. It was really unfortunate. It was unsportsmanlike. But think about it. The best fighter in the world, Manny Pacquiao, fought like a politician most recently.
Twice.
Who do you think should represent our sport? The guy who's a thug but will meet you right there in the alley if you bring it to him, or the guy that eased back on a Hall of Famer?
Well, wait a minute. I that's a tough question because I don't think that Floyd is like that. I think Floyd, if all of his ducks are in a row, and if all of the things are within his, comfort zone, he's okay with it. That means if he feels that he has no problem with the opponent and the location and the referees and the judges and all of that stuff, he's okay with it.
Right.
And that isn't a guy that is somebody that says, I don't care who you put in the ring, I'll fight them no matter what. Now, most of the fighters we do talk about in the blast, speaking of the blast, Alex, let's.
Should we shift gears and do that?
No. Let's put it on hold and do it next week, all right? Because
okay.
I want to talk to you about the other fight, and there's also another issue that I really want to get your opinion on. But as far as
and there's also, we should mention we should celebrate the fact that we had a really great heavyweight fight too.
Well, you want to talk? We could talk about that, but
let's continue with Floyd. Hey,
the only thing about Floyd,
giving quality is so happy. I'm sure right now.
Well, no, he's not happy with us because people said they're sick of listening about Floyd. And the thing is that Floyd, in my opinion, is every bit of a fine-tuned boxer, an expert at the sweet science and everything else, but he's not a guy, in my opinion, that should ever even be mentioned in the same breath as some of the all-time greats. He's just not, because of the way he has been able to pick and choose his opponents.
Right,
and
but isn't that the nature of the sport? And hasn't
Yes.
that become more of the nature today?
Yes.
I mean, Roy Jones, to some degree, laid the groundwork for what Floyd Mayweather has really mastered.
True.
Fighting so infrequently, in part because of IRS reasons, and he's like a franchise. He has this show that is run and gets big ratings. He has Twitter followers. It's a different kind of athlete than previous all-time greats and pound-for-pound greats. But I agree with you 100%. The fact that he's so inactive and the fact that he doesn't challenge himself against the very best are huge knocks against him in terms of measuring him against the all-time greats. But for what's out there, and that's why I do think of him as right now, he's the best there is because he did fight the youngest guy who was at the top of the division at 147. And Manny didn't. He fought the guy who, he had an all-time rivalry with in his last fight, and I thought that guy beat him, and that was Marquez.
Well, my point, excuse me, my point is I agree that the old saying, risk versus reward, that's the driving point, okay?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that he's like this, that's for sure.
But you can't, and your comparisons are all justified. However, don't tell me you're the best ever if you're following the risk versus reward mold, because that's not the best ever. The best ever, and I'm not saying Manny Pacquiao doesn't do the same thing. But Manny Pacquiao's not telling everyone he's the best ever. You know what I mean?
Right.
As a matter of fact, no one else is telling it. You see, the thing about boxing is that the true greats don't have to tell you that they're great. They already automatically get recognized by boxing people. I mean, that's the beauty of the sport, and that's what makes me sick. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about that heavyweight fight that you're referring to, Seth Mitchell against Chaz Witherspoon. I thought that Seth Mitchell, and I still believe that Seth Mitchell is a one-dimensional fighter. I think Chaz Witherspoon showed us how you could beat him easily and why either Klitschko would destroy him. But then again, Chaz abandoned that game plan and let Seth Mitchell do what he does. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think part of it was because Seth Mitchell, he seems to have learned how to fight. He must have learned in the gym and knows how to come back when he's hurt. And I bet that it had to be sparring because he really doesn't have the amateur background, whereas Chaz Witherspoon does, and Chaz Witherspoon certainly has the skills. But I think that it was a very Tyson-esque. I wonder if that was what motivated him to get into the sport. He's certainly emulating Tyson. It doesn't look like he even wears socks, Bill. And he throws punches in bunches like a young Mike Tyson. He's fun to watch in that sense. He has that Bojack, Henry Armstrong. Mike had that. He fought like a smaller fighter. And seeing that in the heavyweight division is so exciting. Frazier was like that too, with the very active style. And I thought that he was able to hurt Witherspoon and come back. That's what changed the course of the fight. But yeah, it was easy to control him, but because he's a strong, tough guy, yeah, I think it's crazy to think of him in the same breath as a Klitschko. You're absolutely right about that. But what I saw, I did like.
Yeah, I'd like to see him fight. You see, like on Monday's show, I think that any of the top heavyweights, the only top heavyweights, at least in our rankings, that I think that Mitchell can beat is I'm pretty sure he can beat Povetkin and Dimitrenko, and that's about it.
I think he's way too green for those guys.
No, but I'm just saying.
Povetkin would really give him a hard time.
Povetkin, come on, Povetkin.
Oh, I think he'd beat the hell out of him. I think that, unless he caught him, I mean, think about it. Povetkin's a gold medalist.
Povetkin got a gift. Povetkin got a gift against the cruiserweight.
He's not always, thrilling.
Povetkin,
I think that he could definitely control a guy like
Povetkin
that.
got
Chaz Witherspoon proved.
Povetkin got a gift against the cruiserweight. Come on.
That fight. I did think that
fight.
The last guy, I thought, beat him.
Huck won the fight, but anyway, let's talk about another fight for this weekend. It's not getting much discussion, and maybe rightfully so. Sugar Shane Mosley against Saul Alvarez. Now, as far as the young fighters that have belts that are developing before our eyes, I think Saul Alvarez is the most refined boxer of all those guys, and you know who I'm referring to, of course, Chavez and everybody else, but. Saul Alvarez technically is a sound fighter, but I think despite Shane being way over the hill and despite Shane being a shell of his former self, I think Shane might give him a good fight. What do you think?
I think that it is one of those fights where, in a way, I'm very sad about it because I really think that there's a chance that Shane could get really beat up. But you're right. I think there's also the chance that Shane, if he wins, it's huge because he reignites his career, especially if he wins impressively. And I think it's not out of the realm of possibility. Remember, Alfonso Gomez was in there with him when that fight was stopped. I thought that was kind of a premature stoppage. And what was that, 2 fights ago for Canelo? So I think that but the thing about Mosley is his reflexes are shot. So I think even Alfonso Gomez might have better reflexes than the current Shane Mosley. I think Shane has the endurance, but it's like I think at one point Steve Kim referred to him after the Pacquiao losses, like, you get one of these classic cars, like an old 57 Chevy or something, and, it's beautiful, but you take it out on the road and there's nothing, it has nothing. Well, that's what Shane Mosley is like. He gets into great shape. He wins the weigh-ins, but then he gets in the ring, there's nothing there.
Right. It's another example of not knowing when to say when, and it's a shame, and it definitely bothers me for sure.
But I think that, of course, it's a good name if Canelo wins and wins good, but I think in some ways it could be a welterweight version, or it's a junior middleweight fight. Shane's never done well at junior middleweight.
Well, he had a belt. He had a belt at junior middleweight.
He had a belt, but the win was over, I can't remember who, and then it was followed by 2 losses in a row to Winky Wright, wasn't it, at 154? I think he only fought like 3 or 4 times. He won the close one with Oscar De La Hoya was how he got that 154-pound belt, I think.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you another question. It has nothing to do with Shane or this card that's coming up this weekend or even last week's cards. It has to do with an issue that's going on with the New York State Athletic Commission and with Luis Resto. Now, you know the story with Luis Resto and Panama Al Lewis were both convicted and did time for the tampering of the gloves in the Billy Collins Jr. fight, which ultimately they feel did lead to his death and everything else. Well, it's the trial and everything was over. They went to jail back in the 80s, mid-80s, 1986 to be exact. And, Panama Al Lewis to this day still trains boxers, but he's banned. He's not allowed. I'm thinking he can't go closer than the 3rd row to a boxing event. As pros, and I think I don't have a problem with that with him. But now Luis Resto, who was the fighter, he's trying to obtain a seconds license from New York State, where he lives in New York, and they turned him down. They said that it would be bad for the sport. What's your thoughts, man? I mean, I know you're like me, thinking that the tampering of the gloves is like the worst thing you can do in our sport, but over this course of time, and especially living through what happened with Margarito, does he deserve another chance?
Yeah, I'd like to think he does. Just who he is, let's hope it would follow him everywhere. But, I guess people do forget. I don't know. That's a tough one. He's not, he would be going into the very thing where he could rig fighters' hands to do what he did. But, I would assume, let's hope he learned his lesson. I don't know. And, I certainly believe in rehabilitation and giving a guy a second chance. But I don't know. That's a tough one.
Again, we're at the situation where a fighter/trainer, who's at fault? The fighter could have said, I'm not going to fight this guy without the horsehair
Was it ever proved that he knew about it? I don't know enough about that.
Well, he had to have known.
I never saw that HBO movie about it.
Well, he had to have known that his gloves did not have padding in it. So, and I think that's why he was convicted. He actually, both of them got convicted of second-degree assault. So they did time. It wasn't like the big jail story that Mayweather's going to be doing. These guys went to prison. You make an interesting point, and it is one that I never even considered. That people are going to look at him as maybe doing the same thing to a fighter, but. I think because of incidents like that and some other stuff, I mean, with the exception of Margarito, to be honest with you, I thought it was very hard to cheat, especially with the gloves. But I guess the whole Antonio Margarito thing showed us that it is still possible.
Yeah, that it certainly is.
Yeah,
and I think, I don't know. I really think that he should probably get a second chance, but I think that it is about the worst thing that you could do. But he was the fighter, and he's done his time, and I don't know. That's a tough one.
It is, and the thing is he's
it like up for a review or something?
Well, he applied for a license. He wanted to go through the proper channels. He still works with fighters and stuff, and he wants to be a second. He wants to be a trainer in the state of New York, and they said no. Because
so far they have rejected it.
Yeah, they've rejected.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see their point. That's for sure.
And again, I believe that we should all get a second chance. I mean, look at it this way. In our legal system, you get a guy who literally can murder someone, and be out on the streets within 7 to 10 years, and never have a problem again. And like you said, maybe they get rehabilitated. Maybe they realize it. The situation that took place to have them take another life. And they got their second chance. Why is this any different? I mean, he didn't kill anyone. He did pay his debt to society, so to speak. He's not asking to fight. He's not asking to be a glove inspector. He's asking to train guys and be allowed to make a living. And I don't know, man. I hate to say it, but I think he deserves a second chance. Even though,
I mean, I think that if you think about it, there are examples of people that have gotten a second chance in this sport.
Margarito.
With Margarito, and also Victor Conti, who did time over the Balco stuff, and now he's advising on drug policy and working with other fighters. So, yeah, I mean, so far there's been absolutely no hint that anything's not on the up and up. So, it sounds like he's someone who did learn the lesson, and now he's doing things a different way. So, I certainly think that there is the chances that it could be the same deal with this guy. But and think about our, well, maybe this is not a good example, but look at the people that were put in charge of fixing the economy. They were all Wall Street insiders, so they are put in charge of policing themselves.
Yeah, how's that work?
Worked out great.
Yeah, I was just going to say, how's that working out? How's our economy working out? Good, huh? Yeah, it's a good one.
Wasn't it just better than it has been in a while just yesterday? So at least it's going in the right direction. But I think that's exactly the good example, is that it is sort of like that does happen in the sense of the fox guarding the hen house.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. Hey, so one last thing. Are there going to be any upsets this weekend, or is all the favorites going to come home with W's?
I think that it's probably all the favorites. I would love to see Shane Mosley, but I'd like to see him win. But in a way, a win would only encourage him. So,
well,
I think everybody's going to lose.
What do you think? What do you think about Bernard Hopkins vowing to continue?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, we'll see if anybody's going to want to pay for it. I mean, I think we did get an answer to your question last week. The crowd certainly did show up for Bernard. It wasn't a sellout, that's for sure.
But they did well. They did well, though. They claimed that they had almost 8,000 people in there.
Really?
Yeah, they said it was 7,800 or 7,600 or something like that. I was shocked at the numbers, and but who's to say they went there for B-Hop? A lot of people were cheering for Chad, and I think a lot of people went there for the Mitchell-Witherspoon fight, to be honest with you. I heard more excitement.
Well, I thought Chad got pretty heartily booed, though, when he was introduced. So I thought it did seem kind of pro-Hopkins.
Could be. Who got booed? Chad Dawson?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even. I don't notice that because I've become so I can't even listen because. Jim
Lampley was having a punch stat festival.
Dude, I mean, listen. Maybe it's me because of the way I feel, but you know, the thing is this man has evolved into. It's like he can't make his own decision without those statistics anymore. He says nothing about the fight till the statistics are on the screen. Then he'll start.
Loves them. He does. He loves them.
And then, yeah,
Let's get a load of the punch stat numbers.
Yeah, but then he'll base his commentary on those stats and why he feels that the fighter who's showing up on the stats as winning is winning. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think what Harold Letterman. I think I heard him say once that. You know, nobody does that better than Jim. And I would agree. He does do that well. But you're right. I mean, the fact remains that the punch set might not be at all accurate.
Well,
so who cares if you're doing it well?
Harold said that on this show. And then he also, when I asked him, you know, do you think that they overdo it, that they should not do it during the round? I mean, they have the stats up there during the round. I don't mind seeing the stats, and to be honest with you, I would welcome them at the end of the fight. Show me the statistics at the end of the fight. I don't want to see it during the round. I don't want to see it after every round, and I certainly don't want to hear the commentators talking about it. You know, hey, the line of the year goes to Harold Letterman when he said, hey, sometimes Bernard Hopkins can't always put his head down and yell charge and expect to win the fights. And to me, that describes B-Hop the best.
Yeah, he did do a lot of those charts.
That's all he did.
Yeah, and you could see it. I mean, that's what opened the gashes in Chad's face.
Yeah, no doubt. Alex, I appreciate you spending some time. It looks like we're going to push all those blasts from the past that we got scheduled back one more time, and we'll do Tiger Flowers next week, my man.
Sounds good. Take care, Billy C.
All right, Alex, take care. That's my main man, Alex Pierpaoli, and normally we do our Blast from the Past feature at Blast from the Past segment during this time. But big fight between Miguel Cotto and Floyd, what's his name, this weekend, and we decided to talk a little about that. Hey, I got to take a break. When I come back, we're scheduled to have the infamous Joe Santoliquito.
Talking boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on the scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing
with Billy C.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. Pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the 3rd time for London. As for the winter games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the summer and the winter games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, talking boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the
a silhouette. He's disappointed at coming at you on the count of one.
And we're back. You are listening to Talking Boxing with Billy C. Radio Show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local TV provider right now and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's a good time. We've got extended coverage on the Cotto-Mayweather event that's taking place this weekend. So check out the website for all the information, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, joining us, the infamous Joe Santoliquito. What's up, my man?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, a lot of stuff to talk to you about. Let's get rolling right away. First and foremost, Chad Dawson against Bernard Hopkins. Wasn't an exciting fight. I thought maybe Chad, should have stepped on the gas pedal a little bit. I think the most disheartening thing out of that whole fight is the announcement that Bernard Hopkins is continuing his career. What's your thoughts on that, and of course the fight itself?
Well, I had Dawson winning. I go way back with Chad. Actually, I go back with Chad all the way back to his fighting on the undercard of the first Ward Gotti fight. So, on a personal note, I was kind of happy for him. This is taking some time. He has beaten every viable fighter that was willing to fight him in the division. He had beaten Adamek. He's beaten Glenn Johnson. He's beaten Tarver. And finally, he's gotten a shot at someone that had been avoiding him for some time. And there was a reason for that, and we all saw that Saturday night in Bernard Hopkins. I thought Chad was actually on his way to beating Bernard the first time, and then Bernard put pulled his little soft shoes, little scam deal, but by claiming that something was wrong with his shoulder. I thank God I was around people that I knew Saturday night because they kept on tapping me and keeping me up. I was there ringside for the fight, and I had it 118, 110. I forget exactly what 2 rounds I very generously gave Bernard. But I thought it was a dominating performance. But dominating in this sense, you had one guy that did very little and another guy that did nothing. So that's what it came down to. I think Chad gave Hopkins a little bit too much respect. And right now, Bernard's at a stage in his career where I don't know if he merits that by any elite fighter. Certainly, if there's any other fighter in the world that Hopkins is in the ring with, other than anybody in the top 10, Bernard wins that fight because Bernard does what Bernard does. He clutches and grabs, will hit you in the hips when with the opposite hand when the rough's on the other side. All the typical Bernard Hopkins dressings that he's used throughout the years. The only difference is I really don't know, and like I said, I used the word generously, gave him 2 rounds. I really don't know what Bernard did to win that fight. And then after that, I'll say this, I respect what he did after the fight because he came up and he basically said, listen, I could turn around, run around, and say a day after, 2 days after, I did this, I did that, to deserve to win the fight. He says, I'm only going to say it right now, right here at the press conference in front of everybody else. I thought I won the fight. Let the people judge for themselves, and people obviously judge for themselves. Anybody that knows boxing, anybody that knows an inch of boxing, anybody that has a little bit of a clue knows the outcome of that fight. Wouldn't even question it. But Bernard at least said it there. He gave Dawson credit for what Dawson did, and we turn the page and move on. I know for a fact a number of people at press row that night already turned the page on Hopkins. I was over there with a couple of local Philadelphia sports personalities, that basically said, I'm never going to have him on my show again.
No, it's over. And my question with him is he's announced publicly that his career is not over. He's going to continue. But my big question is, who the hell wants to fight him? I mean, first of all, he's not a draw, so big names are going to avoid him. And whether you beat him or not,
I'll tell you what, Bill. Actually, he's in. I want to call it the Roy Jones zone. And what I mean by that is Jones goes to Australia, gets his ass kicked down there for big money, and Bernard is in that grouping. I mean, Nathan Cleverly, they'll pay him tons of dough to go out to England to fight. And I know he'd have to knock down Cleverly twice to even get a draw.
Yeah, but he makes you look bad, Joe.
But here's the deal: he'll fill up Wembley Stadium because in England he's still a name. In other parts of the country, he's still a name. In Europe, he's still a name. So there, he will be. They'll pull him. They'll get him in there. I mean, he's at that stage now. Whether or not he's going to take that tact and do that to cash in, that's up to him. Knowing Bernard, knowing how stubborn he is, I can still see him doing it. I can still see him going to England, fighting Nathan Cleverly in front of piles of people because he's Bernard Hopkins, because he is a legend in the minds of English fighters. Right now, he's in the minds of anybody that knows anything about boxing. Has been here, but he'll do that. He'll play the wandering minstrel.
Yeah. Well,
the wandering boxing minstrel, where he's going to turn around and and fight the Nathan Cleverlys of the world in England before packed houses. I think a lot of people may twist minstrel to minstrel.
Well,
the way he fought Saturday night, because it was just this nauseating, irritating flow of nothing.
Yeah, Joe, the point I'm making is that, if I'm working with a fighter, and I'll use the Nathan Cleverly example, I don't want my fighter to fight Bernard because, he makes you look bad. He just everything you said, he throws the best 1-2 head combination I've ever seen. There's too much risk for reward. But I guess if you could sell out Wembley Stadium, I guess maybe.
And Bill, we both know that he would. And we both know you go down Nathan Cleverly's record a year from now, 2 years from now, and you see Bernard Hopkins. It's still a big deal.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about
that is the stage where Hopkins is.
Well,
whether or not, again, he wants to turn around and follow that path is obviously up to him. Knowing him, knowing how stubborn Bernard can be, knowing I did it my way and all the other junk that he likes to throw up there, fine. I mean, I personally wrote, I did a thing with the Bleacher Report people, 5 reasons to what we learned here, and my number one reason in descending order was that basically no one wants to see Bernard Hopkins again. It's one of the 5 things that we learn. Why? I'm in the same boat as you, rowing hard. That let's turn the page on this guy. He is a Hall of Famer. Bill, he is. I know you may have your issues with him, and to a point I do too. But he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer because of longevity.
First ballot.
That's it, because of longevity. But let's move on. I don't even want to talk about B-Hop anymore. Let's talk about another guy I can't stand. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is fighting Miguel Cotto this week. No one's giving Cotto a chance. No one. What's your thoughts? How's the fight going to go?
I don't give him a chance either. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think he's going to engage. I think he's going to keep on coming forward. He's going to make Mayweather fight. And I like the fact, credit to Floyd here. There's no catch weight. There's no angle here. Floyd stepping up to 154. Cotto doesn't have to turn around and dry himself out, as he did against Pacquiao. Not that it would have deterred, altered that outcome of that fight anyway. Pacquiao just chopped him up. And I see Mayweather chopping him up. I see a fairly competitive fight. I even see maybe there's a chance that maybe even Cotto can land a punch or two. stun Mayweather. But eventually, Mayweather's going to chop him up, and he's going to turn his gloves into 2 Ginsu knives, and at the end, maybe I'm going to 9th or 10th round. I'm going to maybe an 11th round stoppage on cuts. Mayweather's going to make Cotto's face look like it came through a meat grinder, and Floyd, I think, wants to turn around and wants to put on a statement here before he goes into Pokey June 1st. I mean, no one has played that up. As a matter of fact, it's been played down by many people that are trying to curry favor with Floyd at this stage of his career, because they basically want to kiss his ass. So this way, Floyd will be gracious enough to talk to them. It's almost like like he's some kind of royalty and he's King James or something.
Yeah.
But that's the way I see it. I see Cotto, coming forward, trying to cut off the ring, trying to do a lot of different things here that he simply does not have the physical ability to do against the Floyd Mayweather. And I don't know right now at this stage where boxing is that can happen. Floyd Mayweather's the best fighter in the world.
Yeah, well, I'd like to. It's hard to argue that, but on the other hand,
here's something not to argue that's a fact. He's got to go away, whether it be
not soon enough, not soon
enough, a month, whether it be for a week. He's going to go away, and hopefully, he's going to learn something from what he did. Now, I saw his interview on HBO with Professor Dyson out of Georgetown, and I thought parts of it was actually very, very pathetic. I thought Dyson, who's an intelligent man, a brilliant man, I admire a lot of his work. I did not admire his work during that interview, simply for the fact that he let Mayweather get away with a few things. Why are you racist, Floyd? What's the basis of people calling you racist? Well, simply, right off the bat, something very easy. I mean, that rant in 2010 where he just goes around and talking about some very, very derogatory things that if Bill, you or I were to say anything like that in public and put it on YouTube, be fired. You'd be ousted. No one would be listening to your show. No one would read anything I wrote because, we'd be branded, ignorant racists. And basically, I personally don't think Floyd is a racist. I do think he's prejudiced.
I think he's a racist. I think
there's a marked difference in that. But what's the basis of people thinking you're racist? Well, when you turn around and you refer to Manny Pacquiao as quote unquote, I think yellow dog, yellow rat, something like that.
Let's go fry up some sushi.
That could be pretty damning. That could be pretty racist.
Yeah, he said something about the sushi eating. What did he say? Chopping rice. He was bad.
It's just all piling on. Yeah. Everything, and actually the stuff more so. I think the stuff was more so Chinese references than anything. Reference to the Philippines, which in and of itself is also kind of prejudice. I'm not going to again say racist. Someone that's racist in his position of power that'll turn around and say, I'm not going to hire this guy or that guy because he's white. I'm not going to hire this guy or that guy because he's black. That is really the true definition of racism. And I know for a fact Floyd has a rainbow coalition of people working for him, and that is a fact. Jews and Gentiles, blacks and whites, just a bunch of people holding hands, singing "Kumbaya, Floyd."
Yeah, he's Kumbaya, Floyd. Took a second for that one to hit me, but I just am so sick of him claiming to be the best ever, and when you look at the pedigree, when you look at that resume, I don't see it. I see a very skilled boxer. There's no question about it. I see a money-making machine. I see all those success stories that people in this country at least strive for, the money, the wealth, the fame, everything he's accomplished that most people dream of and never even come close. I give him credit for all of that. And I also give him credit for, the quality of a fighter he is. But Best ever? No. And the thing that saddens me the most is that as time goes on, and as the young people of today, that they're in their 20s or 30s, and they're seeing this
no one
guy.
knows history, Bill.
Well, what's going to happen is they are going to become the historians someday. They're going to become the old people. When the 20-year-old today is going to be the 75-year-old guy 50 years from now when I'm looking at grass from the opposite end, and they're going to be remembering these fighters and not the ones that I'm trying to keep in the boxing history, and that's the scary part. That someday maybe he will be regarded as one of the best, and that's sad for me.
You know what? I don't think he's the best ever.
Never.
I never saw Sugar Ray Robinson fight, but I certainly would put him. I would certainly put Floyd in top 10
of all time. Of all time, pound for pound.
Well, first off, Bill, he can only fight the people of his generation. He can only fight the fighters that are out there. He does have a hell of a resume. His resume includes Gennaro Hernandez, Angel Manfredi, who was a viable contender at that time, Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo, Ricky Hatton, who was a viable contender at one time. Let's give him credit. When it looked as if he was going to fight Pacquiao, he fought a Mosley who was coming off the Margarito win and was looking somewhat like the Shane Mosley of old for a second there. He's going to have Miguel Cotto on his belt, on his win, another notch on his win belt after Saturday night. So there is actually, I'll tell you what, the only name that will be missing after it's all said and done with Floyd Mayweather is Pacquiao. And the reverse side with Pacquiao is true. The only main name that's going to be missing on his resume is going to be Mayweather. But I also believe they're at a stage right now in both their careers that they really don't need each other. The public, or so the public says, they need them. I think the sell-by date, the bar again, HBO sports president Ken Hirschman's phrase, is the sell-by date's going to be gone by late this year, early next year, and by then it's who cares. I'm to a point. I'm at a stage where who cares now? I really don't. I really don't give a damn if they fight. They don't need each other for their legacies. I can care less. It's just, to me, it doesn't matter. But the guy's done a lot of great things, and we both also know, Bill, he is a first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer, as we're talking here. Now, Floyd Mayweather can quit tomorrow, and in 2017 he's got to be in kind of stood.
No, there's no doubt.
I don't think there's any debate about that.
No.
And I know you would agree there.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I'm not saying he's there with Muhammad Ali, but again, the depth of boxing and where boxing is today is nowhere near where it was then, especially in the heavyweight division.
Right. So how could you even put him in the top 10 when you have a guy like Ali that's going to be in one of those spots? You got guys like Harry Greb and all these great Sugar Ray Robinson we mentioned, but I mean, come on. But anyway, Joe, enjoy the fights. I'm sure we're going to be dissecting it next week this time.
Well, what do you think? I mean, do you think Mayweather? I got a feeling. You're calling an upset here.
No, I'm not. I think Mayweather's going to win the fight, but I think I'll be rooting as hard as I possibly can and praying that Cotto wins. And I think Cotto.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'm a big Cotto fan. He's one of my favorite fighters in and out of the ring. But I wouldn't mind Cotto putting away a serious headache in boxing because, again, Floyd's reached the stage where, and again, I know this for a fact. I've been on a number of conference calls. I was up there in the press conference up in New York with Floyd and with Cotto, and you see all this junk, all this BS out there, and a lot of these people in the media that I know for a fact called him this, that, and the other thing behind his back. Yet they turn around and they put on a smile and a soft shoe, in front of him, and anything you want, Floyd, anything this, that, and all of a sudden, Floyd is supposed to be Mr. Congeniality, Mr. Media-friendly man, Mr. Cooperation,
and Mr. Idiot.
And I know for a fact he's really not. He's worked out a situation where he's certainly manipulated the media, to a lot of people. I'm a charitable guy. We saw that basically Floyd BS junk that he was with Dyson. And what did you think? Did you see that Dyson interview?
No, I refuse to watch anything with Floyd outside of what he does inside the ring. That's it. But Joe, I got to go.
So basically the 24/7. All that
I don't watch
stuff,
it. I don't watch it because I can't stand the man Floyd Mayweather. I can't stand. I think that this world would be a better place without people like him.
Okay.
But as far as the fighter, the guy inside the ring. He's among.
I can't argue with the can't stand the thing.
He's among the top as a fighter.
He's going to jail for a reason.
Right, as a fighter, he's in the top 2 or 3 in the world today. But Joe, enjoy the fights. We'll talk next week.
Okay, Bill.
All right, ciao.
Bye-bye.
That's Joe Santoliquito, the infamous Joe Santoliquito, giving us. He said something. Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. You know something? I don't think Manny Pacquiao needs Floyd Mayweather as much as Floyd Mayweather needs Manny Pacquiao, and I'll tell you why. I think when it's all said and done, the good guy will be remembered more than the bad guy. Yeah, Mike Tyson was a bad guy, and everybody loved him or hated him, and they remembered him. But Floyd is a different kind of a bad guy, and I think that's going to hurt him after boxing. I think it's going to hurt him more after boxing, where it will help Manny Pacquiao being the good guy, so to speak. And I think if these two don't fight, which I don't think they will at this point, if they do fight or if they don't fight, I think that more people will remember that that Floyd Mayweather did not fight Manny Pacquiao when they think of Floyd than they will when they think of Manny. That's just my opinion. I wanted to close one thing up. The WBC and Jose Sulaiman, who I think is a total idiot and has lost his mind, and the WBC has sinking deeper and deeper into the abyss. He puts out this column. This is how much of an ego this man has. Puts out his column that gets published every Sunday in a newspaper. It's called Hook to the Liver. I've stopped posting it. I don't want to give any press to this guy. I just think he's so bad for the sport. And here's another reason why. He says, first of all, the one thing I did get out of his most recent column was something pretty interesting, that he claims that a poll shows that in sports, boxing is second in the country of Mexico in television ratings, which I found amazing compared to all sports. It's second, so obviously soccer is first, and then boxing is second, which is really cool. So I'm glad to know about that. But here's what if I'm going to read 2 quotes from Jose Sulaiman that puts it all in perspective for me, and why this guy is such a whack job, and why I think that he's ruining the WBC and should be removed because their integrity is going down. He says boxing is having difficult times because of the power of now he's blaming. This is coming from Jose Sulaiman, right? Boxing, however, is having difficult times because of the power of the money being the main interest of big television companies. They sign boxers to their own careers for years or a number of fights. One example is the time when Sergio Martinez had to comply with his mandatory defense after 2 years of not having one, when Martinez was practically forced not to comply with the WBC rules, but instead accepted the challenger that the TV imposed on him, even when he was a little-known boxer in Europe. So he's basically blaming the fighter for taking money from the television company instead of saying, no, I want to defend my oh-so-important belt. And obviously, the mandatory challenger that the WBC was trying to have him fight wasn't even good enough for a network to approve. Keep that in the back of your mind. He also goes on to say, this is the 21st century, and all that matters are different, but how would many wish that boxing would be left free for boxers to comply with the institutions that opened the doors to them and through which they rose to glory and to become the top of the cream, for whom of the big boys of TV are struggling without any consideration to the organizations who work for years to bring boxers to fame. He's talking about himself. He's talking about him rising and promoting the fighters, and now he's mad at the TV because they're not backing him. And I say attaboy for the TV networks. And then he goes on to say, which is the biggest joke of all, he says the WBC will continue struggling for its dignity, respect, and safety in boxing as it gives opportunities for all boxers, regardless of race, nationality, or region. Give me a break. Give me a break. This is the guy that's blaming the television networks for not following his BS rules. Man, if you don't think that this guy has come and gone with his sanity, then I don't know what else to say, man. It's sad. It's sad that it's a guy who's living in a glass house shouldn't throw stones. That's my opinion of Jose Sulaiman and his WBC.
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being brought to us by Star Boxing and their May 18th ESPN Friday Night Fight event that you can go check out at the Albany Times Union. Visit our website right now, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Star Boxing posters, damn it, and you'll get directed right to where you can get some tickets. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you and demand a Billy C discount. Up for grabs, a hot book from Clay Moyle, Billy Miskey, the St. Paul Thunderbolt. Excellent read. This is a guy you should know about. Add it to your collection. You can get a signed copy at a discount price by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and go to the Billy C Book Club, and you'll get that one along with some other great reads, and even a copy of our own movie star, Alex Pierpaoli's starring role in Family Secret. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question, which will get you a copy of the Billy Miskey book, is, and it's a tough one, when was the first bout in which the details of the official scoring were announced by the ring announcer? When was the first bout in which the details of the official scoring were announced by the ring announcer? Here's a huge hint. It took place between 1920 and 1950. 1920 and 1950. If you know the answer, email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. And if you're the first one to get it right, we will send you a copy of the Billy Miskey book. Good luck to everybody with that.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by the lawyers that keep me out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for an attorney to knock out your legal problem. I love that line, huh? I love that line. Give Campanaro and Tomkovich a call. That's 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. On this day, May 2nd in 1989, Muangcha Kitsakasim wins a 12-round decision over Tacy Makalos to win the IBF World Junior Flyweight title, and that took place on this day, May 2nd, 1989, in Bangkok. Now, you know I just murdered that name. You know I did. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. Don't forget, if you're watching or listening live, stick around for our thumbs up, thumbs down, but I do have an important message for you. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.